sometimes it's the first thing that comes to your head is the best. And then I'll go around the world until I get back to exactly where I was. I was like, yeah, the first one was the best. Other times, yeah, there's a lot of chopping and changing and ideas morph, and it's it's interesting. I think like Fired Up and All or Nothing were two songs where they morphed a lot, and All or Nothing is one that started where it's at now and went so many different directions and then ended up back to where it was. And then Fired Up started totally different keys and different choruses and different parts here and there, and then slowly got to where it is now. Which I think in the end, it's like, it was more me just simplifying everything, because I feel like I was like, now I need a new bit, now I need a new bit, now I need this other bit. And in the end, it was like, oh no, let's just simplify it. And then there's way more space for the melody to shine and come through, and then have your moments of, something interesting, which is more like in the lead guitar, there's like a guitar solo, and, we added like some synthesizers and stuff at the end. But yeah, it's not always the first time, but I do like the idea is like when I'm writing, I kind of just get on the mic, like especially a lot of the time with an idea, like as soon as I get the idea really, really rough down, I'll just jump on the mic and just ad-lib whatever I can. And I find that's the best way to sort of come up with vocal melodies, because you're not really thinking about what you want to say. You're just saying words or, sounds that sort of sound nice or sound good to you, or like are interesting. And from that, you can then build your vocal and come up with ideas that sort of fit into that of what you've sort of ad-libbed. We had so many ideas. We didn't know where we wanted it to go. There's the first part has like punk songs, indie songs, sort of really some of our lightest music, like kind of almost, indie sort of alternative, like sort of almost dancey in some ways. And then part two, well, it's got more groove orientated stuff. It's a little slower, but then it's also got some quite like doomier stuff that's, it sort of holds a bit more weight. And just going back to what I originally said about like having Lockie join the band and write with us, I think it's because we just had all those ideas flowing at once, and it was just like this big mishmash of songs. And not only that, it's like anything that he sent and then I wrote on, him and I sort of work in almost opposite ways in terms of like the way we hear music. I hear music quite major, and he hears music really, really minor. And in minor key, like sort of keys and stuff. So when he sends me something, he'll like write a lead guitar line that's really minor, but I've got like a major vocal hook over the top of it. And it's sort of, sometimes it doesn't work, and sometimes it's like, well, that's what makes it sort of interesting, is that because, it sort of feels sad and happy at the same time. And it's a little bit like two-faced. But yeah, it's I think that this one, there was no sort of direction. It's just a collection of songs, and we had 20 songs. We're like, let's just do a double record, but let's stagger it, because this day and age, it's like a record only gets a few months of like your time in the sun to sort of really try and capture your audience, and then people are moving on to the next one. Oh, when's the next record? When's the next record? I was like, oh man, that took us like years to make. And I always do sort of look at that thing where it's, that you need to have certain things on a record to make it a sort of a bit of a journey. And I think we've always tried to do that. We've always tried to have those songs in there that sort of take people by surprise, or are a little bit more, softer, or there's like, or go all out and are really, really heavy. And yeah, going through that again at the moment with the next one. It's like, what else do we need on this thing? What else does it need to be one of those records that go, yes, I love listening to this entire thing. There's not a skip song. Because I always remember some records back in the 90s and 2000s, there's always a skip song, or, it's like, why is that even on there? So I'm pretty, conscious about making sure that there's hopefully nothing on there that people are like, ah. But then again, who knows these days? People just sort of listen to their playlists. Maybe I got to the point where I was like, I need to give up. I need to give up Facebook or something. It felt like when I first joined social media, was MySpace, and we had the band was on MySpace, and it was a different beat, and it was actually fun. Like, it was really fun because people would get on and be like, I love your band, like, and they talk about music, and it was like it was a bit more of a community, and it was actually really funny because when we first started touring, one of the first tours we did was with this band called Crystal Castles from Canada, and for us, we were like, whoa, they're like a proper huge band. They were coming over to Australia, doing shows at like 1,000 capacity shows, and so like, and we got the tour out of nowhere. We were like, oh, and one of the guys from Crystal Castle was like, oh, thanks for doing the tour. We got a list of bands to choose from, and we saw that you guys had us in your top friends. So we were like, they're like, so we thought, oh, they're at least fans of our band, so we should get you guys on. And I was like, oh, this is like a cool thing that maybe MySpace has done for us. Like, it's like having that platform had really helped us. But yeah, anyway, going forward and just being like on social media for, the better part of your life, I started like sort of resenting it a little bit and was seeing all these people get quite angry and upset at stuff that they didn't actually have to take note of or even look at. And that's where that idea for that song was. It was kind of just, maybe people wouldn't be so angry if they didn't see everything that made them angry all the time. You're constantly seeing things that make you angry, it's going to make you upset. So yeah, I think I was getting angry at the people getting angry. So I was like, I just need to give it up a little bit. And I took a step back from it a little. And to be honest, it's one of the best things I ever did is sort of, still use social media. But I think I just tried to limit myself and not be on there like all the time. And yeah, really helped. The only things I miss birthdays now. Because that would seem to be the thing. I miss birthdays. I was like, oh, is there a way to just like sync up people's birthdays so it comes up in my calendar? No, unfortunately not. So anyway, we picked our winners for this year, and it's awesome, man. It was like so heartening to go and read all these applications from kids out there. And it was like, we did it for people from regional centres here in Australia. And it was awesome. We got like Fender, who, we're endorsed with, but they've been such a great force here in Australia in terms of like just helping bands out, but then getting on board with this and helping out kids and getting guitars in hands so that people can learn. But yeah, reading through those applications, just seeing all the passion behind future guitarists. Like, they knew so much more about guitar than I did when I was their age. And interestingly enough, like a lot of the, like, who's your favorite guitarist? A lot of people were doing throwbacks to stuff that maybe like people I didn't even know, and I have to look them up. And I was like, oh wow, it's like a blues player I think I'm going like Zap. I would love to go and have a look again. I think it's Zappa, and then going back even like some people I was like, I don't even know who that is, and they're just these old like shredders who, from the 70s, and I was like, wow, my favorite guitarist when I was a kid was like Matt Bellamy. It's like, yeah, that was like my knowledge of guitar was like he was like, wow. Tom Morello was like my, those guys were like I love them. Constantly over the last sort of 10 years in media, you see so much about guitar rocket, like guitar bands are dead, or like that world's over. It's all production, and it's like, yeah, it's production, but then you're starting to see like a lot of guitars get used again in like hip hop, or then there's like artists like Oliver Tree who use guitars with beats and then his own style, and like that's really popular. Or then, like the sort of more indie world, which is there's lots of synths and stuff, but it's like guitars are a big primary thing in it as well. So I think that there is, and especially now with like the last year, well, it's given some people a lot of time to go and learn an instrument, and maybe it's something that they've always wanted to do, is to play guitar. So yeah, the more people out there playing music, the better, no matter what instrument. But yeah, it's just nice to see that people are super psyched on playing guitar still.